Good Tuesday morning to you. Welcome back. This is Money Talks on WGRZ. This is the place where money meets politics. We have a lot of fun with this show. We do manage money for a living, but during this show, this is where money meets politics. And each and every week, Tuesday, 11:30 to noon, we'll be here talking about sometimes money, sometimes politics, sometimes whatever the topic of the day is. I'm today's host, Mike Lomas. In studio with me, Glenn Wiggle. Glenn cut his chin shaving this morning, so we're fighting that. That's all right. That's all right.
To bleed out here on the air.
Stuff happens. Most of the folks probably know us from our radio show on WBEN every week, so we can go in with sweatpants and.
That's right. Hats on and cutting yourself shaving.
Many of our family members have said we've been built for radio, so.
Yeah, definitely have a face for radio, no question about
it. Later in the show, by the way, we're going to be joined with Ron Reinstein. He's our certified divorce financial planner. Certified divorce analyst. I screw that up every time. Sorry, Ron. But we'll talk a little bit about divorce and wrap the show up with divorce. And if you're in the unfortunate position of getting a divorce, what to do and how to plan the right way. Let's start out locally here. Well, New York State, Chuck Schumer, dishonest Chuck.
Yeah, so it came out this past week that Chuck Schumer, I guess, along with the Gang of Eight on the Senate, were briefed by Comey, part of the Intelligence Committee briefing, and was totally told that there was no investigation into Donald Trump. And so,
shocker.
Yeah, shocker.
And
unfortunately,
what a dishonest scumbag.
Well,
how creepy is that, right? It's one thing to have different political ideas.
Sure.
One thing to think differently. One thing to say, but when you know somebody's not under investigation and continue to run with it, shame on him.
And so he's been doing that for the last 2 months, right? Yeah. He's been out there talking about, providing this cloud of uncertainty around President Trump and talking about maybe he's being investigated, maybe he's not, knowing well the whole time that there was no investigation. Yeah. Interestingly, so far, we've had an investigation into Hillary Clinton, right? And the Clinton Foundation.
Right.
We now have a new investigation into Bernie and Jane Sanders.
That's right.
For potentially bank fraud.
Mainstream media is going to pick that story up any time now.
But
any day now, mainstream media.
But the mainstream media is still talking about Trump,
right?
And still talking about potentially
knowing that there was no investigation, knowing nothing was going to happen,
right? And the timeline of what they're going after. First, it was Trump was in collusion with the Russians. Well, that whole narrative has fallen apart. So that's not the case anymore. So then it was Trump potentially tried to influence the investigation by having a meeting with Comey. Yeah. Also that's not going on. So now it's witness intimidation, which is a joke. Right. I mean, this is such a joke. The thing is, and what's really sad about it is, if you want to compete in the arena of ideas, that's a wonderful thing, right? Yeah. So, certainly put your ideas forth. Put your your thoughts on policy.
Yeah, tell me your agenda. Tell me what you think.
Again.
That's right.
But there's no policy from the left whatsoever. The policy from the left is be anti-Republican, be anti-everything they are. You could put forth the Obama bill and have the exact same language in it.
Right.
And I think the Republicans should try this. Yeah. So let's put forth an Obamacare repeal bill. Let's just make it the exact same.
I think they sort of have.
They have.
I mean, the Republicans have been, to smack them a little bit, totally useless. Yeah. I mean, give me a break. Obamacare is falling apart all on its own. And, I continue to hear replace. Get rid of it. Right. Get rid of it. In fact, it's already gone in some states. I mean, there's no insurance companies on the exchange anymore.
17 out of 23 co-ops have already gone out of business.
Yeah.
So it's clearly falling apart on its own. Right. But it would be just kind of funny because Chuck Schumer and the rest of the Democrats in the Senate were out there basically, poo-pooing the Senate health care bill. They hadn't even read it yet. Yeah. They hadn't even put it out there yet.
Right.
And so they just announced it this past week.
Right. Could have been exactly what they wanted, word for word. Didn't matter.
I just think.
Did you see that video I sent you, by the week, during the week? It was a guy who was on a college campus, and he was talking about redistributing the grades.
No, I didn't see
it was great. I'll send it to you. He was talking about redistributing the grades. He said, look, I really think we should start to redistribute the grades. Somebody gets an F. That's not fair.
No.
We should give the people that have an A, we should take a little bit away. Yeah. And every one of them, no, these people work hard for the grades.
Right, of course,
but you went back the same way and talked about capitalism and redistributing wealth, and they were all for it.
Right.
They were all for it.
Well, until they start, earning a living.
There's the Democrats
when
for
it's
you.
their money being redistributed.
That's right.
That's a whole other story.
Oh, absolutely. So, yeah. I want to talk taxes, regulation, trade. I also want to talk McDonald's. McDonald's stock was at an all-time high, and Wall Street seems to be embracing the fact that that, they're replacing these minimum wage workers with robots. So
right.
I definitely want to talk more about that. We'll be back here, WGRZ. This is where money talks, money meets politics. Mike Lomas, Glenn Wiggles, Financial Guys. We'll be back. Don't turn the dial. Welcome back to Money Talks. Mike Lomas, Glenn Wiggle, and this is the place where money meets politics. We wanted to thank WGRZ. We've been here a few months now, having a blast. This is great, and look forward to many more Tuesdays here with you, 11:30 to noon. We do manage money for a living, so if you need us throughout the week, folks, 633-1515. If you think like us, you might want to use our team as a resource, whether it's divorce planning, retirement planning, estate planning, Medicare planning. We have an independent expert when it comes to Medicare. We have certified financial planners, certified financial analysts. We really do take a team approach. Use our team as a resource. Again, 633-1515. Before the break, I did want to talk about McDonald's.
Yeah.
Maybe we just wrap up with Mr. Dishonest Chucky Schumer again.
Chuck Schumer.
It's amazing, and you brought up a point during the break. This is great. Where's the mainstream media on this?
Nowhere.
Shame on him, shame on them.
Yep.
Where are they?
Yeah, so for the last 2 months, Chuck Schumer's been out there continuing to fuel the Russia, investigation with the
Right.
FBI and all
meanwhile, his buddy Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton are actually the ones under investigation.
That's right.
Shame on the mainstream media.
Yeah,
Shame on them.
so he's known for 2 months. He's known since the Comey briefing in March that there was no investigation open against President Trump, and yet he continued to go out to the media. He continued to make the case that and to spread the lie, basically, that Trump was under investigation. I get why Trump now fired Comey. I mean, he asked Comey repeatedly, can you please just come out and tell the American people that I'm not under investigation?
Right.
The Comey's response to that was ridiculous. Well, I don't want to say something that I have to then change.
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous, right?
Either you are or you aren't, and if you're not, then update
now,
By the way, and this is one of the things I really love about Trump, and people continue to bash him for his tweets and his Twitters and all this stuff. I love that.
It's the only way you can get directly to the people.
Tell me what's up. That's what I want to know. Because unlike Obama, where you do it at 2 o'clock in the morning and vote stuff through without anybody knowing about it, I want to know your opinion. I want to know how you think, and I love that.
And you can't get it from the mainstream media.
No, you can't.
You can't assume that you're going to get the proper information.
Right?
Clearly, right? So they're not even talking about it.
Right.
So anyway, Chuck Schumer has been dishonest, not the first time, I'm sure, but this is a proven time. It's been proven now that he knew about that there was no investigation open, and he continued to talk about it. So Chuck Schumer for 2 months openly lied about it.
Yeah.
And then shame on him,
Yeah.
as opposed to coming with other ideas.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I'm sure some other show outside of the Financial Guys will pick that story up anytime soon. Let's talk McDonald's here for a second. A year ago, 2 years ago, everybody was fighting for higher minimum wage.
They're still fighting.
They deserved $37 an hour, whatever the number was. We said on our radio show, this is going to cost them. It's going to cost them big time. Yep. It's going to speed up the technology process. Wall Street last week was really embracing McDonald's, right? Cheering McDonald's. Yep. I said 2 reasons. Number one is, look, robots don't take time out. They don't need smoke breaks. They show up on time for work. They probably do a better job more efficiently. They don't need vacations. But one thing also is that I think it's going to be, to me, easier for entrepreneurs to own these restaurants. We've owned some fast food restaurants. The hardest part is labor.
The hardest part is labor, and it could be a big part of it as well. So labor roughly is 20 to 25% in some cases, maybe 15. Now you're talking about getting your labor costs down to maybe 5 or 10%, right? That's a big deal. I can't think of other franchise. It might be Wendy's.
I think Wendy's said by end of next year.
End of this year and the next year, they want to have automated ordering kiosks in every single one of the restaurants, which is huge. But this fight for 15, this pushing the $15 minimum wage, we said it a bunch of times. What happens is they go from 15 to 0. Yep. They don't go from 10 to 15. They don't go from 750 to 15.
Yep.
You're going to go from 750 or $10 an hour to 0 because those jobs are simply going to go away. And now we're seeing it in real time. Those jobs are going away. Yeah, it's unfortunate because I think the people that really need those jobs to get the experience to move up the ladder are just not going to have them there for them to take that first step.
I think you're ultimately going to continue to see more and more internships, free work.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's the only way they're going to be able to get their foot in the door to get the experience they need. That's the only way.
Absolutely. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back. Maybe one more segment with you. We'll end the show with divorce planning. Mike Lomas, Glenn Wiggle, Financial Guys. You need us throughout the week, folks. 633-1515. We'll be back. Glenn, before the break, we were talking about Wall Street cheering McDonald's, and not necessarily just McDonald's, but the fact that, these minimum wage workers that were demanding such high wages, $15, $16 an hour, they're replacing them with robots. And that process boy, you talk about speeding that up. I mean, we were probably 9-10 years away. Now we're a year away.
Yeah, we were definitely heading that direction anyways.
Sure.
It definitely accelerated with all the protests and things going on. Places like New York passing legislation to say anyone, you've got multiple restaurants, more than 3 or whatever the number is, you've got to have a special minimum wage for fast food places. That all accelerated it. What's Wall Street's cheering is the potential for higher earnings.
No doubt.
Because labor is a huge part of the overall cost of running a business, any business.
Yep.
And as if you can automate part of that business and you're going to lower your costs, lower expenses leads to higher revenue. Well, not higher revenue, but lower expenses lead to higher earnings, I should say.
Well, and think about this, right? So you're talking about, one of the biggest things with retail is stealing, right?
Yeah.
A robot's not going to steal from you,
right?
Right? Not showing up for work. I'm complaining because I need another break, right? I need sick days. I need that. That's all gone.
Well, think about this. 15 years ago, we owned a couple of Subway restaurants, as a side thing, right? Our labor costs back then were 18% of the overall cost of the restaurant. We were paying roughly $7.50 an hour, which was about minimum wage, a little bit higher than minimum wage back then. And what they proposed was going from $7.50 to $15. Now our profit margin was 15%.
Yeah, if we were lucky, that was a good year.
If we were lucky, in a good year, right? So you're talking about going from $7.50 to 15, or essentially going from 18% labor costs to 36% labor costs. Essentially, our 15% profit just went to a 3% loss, right?
Right.
And so a lot of restaurants are facing this. So if you're a restaurateur in New York State, you're a franchisee, and you own whether it be a Subway, a McDonald's, a Wendy's, an Arby's, doesn't matter.
Sure.
If you're looking at the now whatever the minimum wage is for fast food places, but you have no choice but to look at a way to lower those expenditures, and automation, technology, the whole robotics is an easy way to do it. No question.
And by the way, there's a lot of folks out there that say, well, this is going to take away from the job market. Well, it's going to change the job market.
It will.
It will. It'll take away from the lower end job market. Unfortunately, the disparity between the rich and the poor will get bigger, right? Just the opposite of what the Democrats were trying to accomplish.
But here's a misnomer, right? So very few poor people actually work minimum wage jobs.
Right.
People are poor because they work less than 15 hours a week. People are poor because they don't work enough hours. It's not because they make $10, not because they make 15, or maybe they make 7, or they make 20. People are poor, statistics show, because they simply don't work enough hours. So if they worked full time, whether it be 10 hours or whatever, they'd be obviously a lot less poor, right? So the people that are working minimum wage jobs are typically at least 2/3, if not 5/8 or so, are typically 18 to 22-year-old. They're living in a household. They're not the sole breadwinner.
Looking for some book money for college, maybe pay off that loan.
So what the Democrats and especially the unions have done is they've painted this narrative of the struggling single mother out there supporting her family on minimum wage.
Right.
And that's not to saying that there's not single mothers trying to support their families on minimum wage.
Of course.
I'm just saying that's a small percentage of the actual people working minimum wage. Most of the people are teenagers. Most of those folks are getting their first job. They're getting their foot on that first rung of the economic ladder, and they're going to work their way up from there.
Yeah, most of the jobs, by the way, and keep this in mind, they're going to continue to be tech jobs. You think about this, right? You go all automated. Well, now you're going to have somebody, as we do in our office, who's the Mike Zimmer, the networker of the building, right? So, hey, look, we've got issues. We need a tech person here. We don't need a burger flipper anymore. We need a tech person.
That's right.
All right, quick break. We're going to have Ron Reinstein with. We'll talk a little bit about divorce financial planning as we wrap up the show. Mike Lomas, Glenn Wiggle, financial guys here on WGRZ. We'll be right back.